Hello and welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we're going to be talking about 10 Marvel Omnibus that are still affordable and still easy to find today. It is February 2021, so I can't promise that these are going to be affordable in the near future. But all of these are going to be easy enough to find for about $100 or less online through vendors or auction sites. And if there's any books that you are interested in seeing more of, maybe I'll do a video of it. Leave me a comment. Let me know which ones you're interested in. This video is just going to be a quick overlook of the 10 Omnibus that are still affordable from Marvel Comics right now. The first on our list is Annihilation. Annihilation was a cosmic-related event that happened in the mid-2000s. This book really transformed how the Marvel Universe worked. A lot of the stories were really Earthbound or Earth-related, but this really kicked off a whole new era for Marvel Comics in the cosmic universe. You get characters like Super Skrull, Galactus, Nova. The Guardians of the Galaxy start their formation in this book. The current incarnation of the Guardians of the Galaxy, the ones that most people know from the movies. And it's just an overall epic storyline. So this omnibus does retail for $125, but if you go on auction sites or some discount comic shops, you could find it usually for under $100, and they do reprint it pretty regularly. This contains the entire Annihilation saga with all the tie-ins, including the main series, and the prologue series, Drax the Destroyer 1 through 4. It should be noted that while this event is going on, back on Earth, the Marvel Civil War is happening, so a lot of the stuff happening in Civil War is kind of referenced in Annihilation as why aren't the Avengers involved with this, and where's the Fantastic Four, because a lot of these characters are characters that appeared or started in the Fantastic Four or Avengers. So in a way, it's kind of a good companion piece to Civil War, just to see what else is happening in the universe while Earth is kind of stuck with this mess. The next on my list, number 2, is going to be Fantastic Four by Matt Fraction. So after Jonathan Hickman's legendary run on Fantastic Four, Matt Fraction took over the reins of writing the Fantastic Four with kind of a fresh start initiative. This book really focuses a lot on the family aspect, and it really focuses on side characters and the expanded Marvel Universe interacting with the Fantastic Four. This book is essentially 2 different stories going in the same book. First is the flagship Fantastic Four, which is more of a family title with the Fantastic Four and their children kind of going through different dimensions, and a lot of crazy shenanigans happens with that. And the companion series is called FF, which is about a team of heroes to take over the Fantastic Four's duties while they're away. And we kind of get to see how they interact with the Marvel Universe as a whole. You get characters like Scott Lang's Ant-Man, you get She-Hulk, Medusa, and a bunch of other characters who help fill in for the Fantastic Four back on Earth while the Fantastic Four are away. This is a great jumping on point for any Fantastic Four fans or new Fantastic Four fans. The Omnibus retails for $99.99, but you can usually find it for around $70 on the auction sites or some of the discount comic shops. Very cool series, very affordable, and a good find. The next one is Daredevil by Frank Miller. Most comic book fans will say that Daredevil by Frank Miller was one of the best runs on the character by far ever. There's been a lot of cool follow-up series, but most of those series play homage or tribute to the Frank Miller run. Frank Miller started as one of the artists on this title, but then quickly became one of the writers. Him and Klaus Johnson wrote some of the most iconic stories that most people still regard as the coolest Daredevil stories there are. This story really touches on Daredevil's relationship with Elektra, who is a Frank Miller creation. And if you're a fan of the Netflix TV show, then you're definitely going to enjoy this because that TV show pulls a lot of stuff directly from this book. This book retails for $125, but again, it's usually always in print or there's at least a surplus of it. You could usually find it for around $80 to $100. So if you want more Daredevil action from Frank Miller after that, there are 2 companion omnibus that came out. One is the actual Daredevil Omnibus Companion, which does have Born Again and the Man Without Fear storyline, which is a retelling of his origins. These 2 books together actually make it feel like a complete epic, and these are just awesome follow-ups to the monthly title that Frank Miller did on Daredevil. As I said earlier, Frank Miller did come up with the character Elektra, so there is a companion omnibus that collects all the Elektra storylines that take place after these events as well. Your mileage may vary how much you enjoy Elektra Assassin, which is a storyline that completes this collection, but it does contain Elektra Lives Again, which is a cool follow-up to this series. Next on our list is New X-Men by Grant Morrison. New X-Men was a complete reboot of the X-Men title that Grant Morrison did in the early 2000s. It touches on a lot of the things that Chris Claremont did in the 70s and 80s, but it revamps it for a more modern take. I did do an overview of this in my Every Grant Morrison Omnibus video, which I will link below. So if you want to see more on this, definitely check out that video, fast forwarded to it. I think it's one of the last of that video. So this retails for $125, but you can find it pretty easily for under $100. All these omnibus that I have here are ones I did recently purchase because I wanted to upgrade or I just wanted a new copy, and all of them I bought for under $100 recently. This is an awesome run. I definitely recommend checking this out if you're a huge X-Men fan. The next on this list is one that's pretty popular right now. It's Miles Morales' Spider-Man. So this does take place in the Ultimate Universe, but it is a fresh start for Spider-Man as a whole. Bendis' run on Spider-Man before this was one that was epic and enjoyed by many fans. But when they introduced Miles Morales as the new Spider-Man, it really put a fresh new take on the character, and it proved to be wildly popular. So much so that he even starred in his own animated film from Sony not too long ago. So this does contain the entire Ultimate Universe Spider-Man. There is one omnibus that takes place before this and one after it that if you are interested in the story, you can definitely check out with it. So the lead up to this is actually the death of Ultimate Spider-Man, which we see the death of Peter Parker in the Ultimate Universe. This is a good lead into the Miles Morales stuff, but I would say it's not 100% necessary. Even though this is an amazing storyline and it gets me almost every time I read it, you don't have to read it to actually understand what's happening in this book right here. It helps, but it's not 100% necessary if you're just reading it for Miles Morales. The follow-up to Ultimate Spider-Man is Spider-Man Miles Morales Omnibus. This takes place in the 616 universe after Miles Morales leaves the Ultimate Universe. The Ultimate Universe was destroyed in an event called Secret Wars. So we get to catch up with him and see how he's integrating into the normal Marvel Comics continuity. This wraps up Brian Michael Bendis' run on Spider-Man as well. And it's a great follow-up to the Ultimate Comics Spider-Man. So back to Miles Morales, the Ultimate Spider-Man. It does retail for $125. Again, you could usually find it for around $100 or less. And it contains all the Ultimate comic appearances from Miles Morales. Next on my list, I gotta throw in some Deadpool. So a very affordable omnibus, which is actually retitled a Minibus because it is a smaller omnibus, is the Deadpool Minibus. So the first volume of this is stories collected by Cullen Bunn. In the story, you get the Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe, Deadpool Killustrated, Deadpool Kills Deadpool, Night of the Living Deadpool, and Deadpool vs. Carnage. So it's a cool collection, a very short collection though, of just Deadpool taking on different characters in the Marvel Universe. This retails for $59.99, and a lot of times you can find it for a little bit cheaper than that too, so definitely affordable omnibus for beginners. The next on the list is one of the coolest omnibus anyone could have. It's the Wolverine Volume 1 Omnibus. So this collects basically all the Weapon X origin stuff and everything that Chris Claremont did in the 80s with Wolverine, including the Marvel Comics Presents tie-ins. For any Wolverine fan, this is definitely one you should have. It's a really thick book too, and it retails for only $100. I know I'm not ranking these omnibus in any certain order, but if I had to choose number one, this would probably be close to number one for any new collector. The next on my list is one that was surprising because it even surprised me after reading it. Squadron Supreme, the Classic Stories Omnibus. So Squadron Supreme is one that a lot of people don't know about. They're basically allegories for the Justice League and take place on a different Earth in the Marvel Comics Omniverse. What struck me about this story is it's not just a parody of the Justice League. Its storylines are so in-depth and groundbreaking that it's surprising to me that not a lot of people talk about this series. So this contains the actual Squadron Supreme miniseries and all their appearances leading up to their appearances in Jonathan Hickman's Avengers. The storylines take place from the 70s up to the late 2000s. I don't know how to detail it too much, but if you're a fan of Watchmen, this came out a year before Watchmen and it has a lot of the similar vibes in the main story. Basically, the Squadron Supreme have to take over their Earth, otherwise the Earth itself is going to be destroyed. So they deal with the dilemma of becoming dictators. And even though they're trying to do the best thing they can for their people, it ends up being just a disaster all around. So if you're a fan of Watchmen or even Injustice, this has a lot of themes in it that are very similar to those stories. Plus, it's just kind of cool to see knockoff Justice League crossover with the Avengers every once in a while. Now, if you really do want to know more about this book, I would gladly make a video on this one like next week, really, because this book really took me by surprise. It was an awesome find. You don't have to know much about Marvel Comics or Justice League in that matter to really appreciate this. This book does retail for $125, but it's been so under the radar that I feel like finding a copy is always really easy for really cheap. I got this copy for close to $50, which is more than 50% off. So it was a really good find. If you're interested in it, this is probably a great starter Omni, especially if you're a fan of Justice League, Watchmen, or the Injustice video games. The next on my list is a recent release. This is Marvel Cosmic Universe by Donny Cates. So Donny Cates is a really hot and upcoming writer in Marvel Comics. He's taken over titles such as Thor, Venom. He had a run on Doctor Strange for a while. And what this omnibus does is it collects all the little mini-series of all the cosmic characters he's written in the Marvel Comics universe. Collected in this omnibus is Thanos Wins, Death of the Inhumans, Cosmic Ghost Rider, and Silver Surfer Black. It's a thinner omnibus and it retails for $100. You could usually find it right now for around 60 to 70 on some of the discount sites. This version of the cover too is the direct market cover, which has one of the covers from Silver Surfer Black. I always try to go direct market as much as I can because I just like having those variants. And a lot of these storylines actually kind of tie into the big Marvel events King in Black and Absolute Carnage. So this is Donny Cates' first solo omnibus, but he does have one other omnibus out right now and a few hardbacks. The first one we have is the Absolute Carnage omnibus. This one did retail for $100. I didn't include it on this list because it is skyrocketing in price right now, so it's not really affordable and it's really not new reader friendly. But if you do enjoy this omnibus right here, I would check out Doctor Strange, the deluxe edition by Donny Cates. It has the complete series all in this one hardback. And I would check out his Venom series in any way you can. This is the deluxe edition. There's also paperbacks. Any way you can read Venom, I recommend it because that series is just blowing up right now. Alright guys, we're down to our final omnibus. For our final omnibus, I got Guardians of the Galaxy by Dan Abnett and Andy Landing. So the original Guardians of the Galaxy took place in the year 3000, and after the events of Annihilation, Marvel really wanted to ground the Guardians of the Galaxy in a modern continuity. This is the book that inspired the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, and these stories are what now made them to be a household superhero team name. So this does take place after Annihilation and the follow-up book, Annihilation Conquest, where in those books we see the formation of the team, and in this book we see their first adventures. This does collect the entire series by Andy Landing and Dan Abnett, and it ties in with a lot of the cosmic events like War of Kings and the Thanos Imperative. Actually completed in this also is the Thanos Imperative miniseries. So this does retail for $100. We could usually find it for around 50 to 60 bucks. This is a great find for any Guardians of the Galaxy fan or someone who wants to just know more about the Guardians of the Galaxy. So there you have it guys, the top 10 affordable omnibus for new Marvel readers. I want to thank you again for watching. If you enjoyed this content, please leave me a comment below. Like, share, subscribe, and hit that bell for notifications. If you want to see me go more in depth on any of these omnibus, please leave a comment. The more attention that comment gets, the more likely I'll be able to hit that book up faster. So thanks again for watching guys, time to jump off the Omnibus.